Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing the actual painting process. I've been teasing this for like 4 videos now, and that is, I can't tell if that's in focus or not, but we're going to be making this particular base here. So it's kind of a marbly jade effect, and it's actually super easy. I'm going to be going through that. I'm going to be cranking out 6 of these bases here. So the base prepping I did for this, and you don't necessarily have to do this yourself. It's just how I like these bases for this effect. Went through, sanded it down flush with 1000 grit sandpaper, and then hit it again with 2000 grit sandpaper, and then hit it with a filler primer, which you can get at your at like an auto store. Hit it with that, and then brushed on Caliban green for the first one, and that is grotesquely out of focus. So let's, oh, wrong one. There we are. So the reason why I brushed it on is because on some of these, where would be a good example right here, you can actually see the brush strokes with the lines, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. Normally you want to hide your brush strokes, but this will indicate kind of a grain or a certain direction you want to go with your pattern. So it's a little bit of an easy mode if you don't know what to do. You're like, oh, the grain's going this way, so we'll just make our pattern going with it. So that is that. Now, it does show up on other ones, like this one. You can sort of see it. It's a little bit easier to see with the eye. It kind of sticks out more, but with the reflectiveness, it's a little hard to pick up. So that's why I decided to brush on the Caliban green. I know there's a spray can, but I decided to brush it on for that effect. Speaking of brushes, what we're going to need is a brush like this. It's just something thin. It doesn't have to be razor thin. I want it flared out a little bit because it will actually give a little bit more contrast, or a little bit better pattern later on. And then you're going to need a messed up brush like this, and I'm not going to be using the center of it. I'm going to be using the sides here. So if I were to get away here, so I'm going to be stabbing it like this on the sides, and not necessarily on the face, just on the sides, and then I'll be rotating it like this. So that's going to be the blending technique for that. And then this one is just going to be very lightly dabbing. So 2-brush technique, pretty easy. So the first color or coat we're going to go on is Cabalite green, and then we're going to hit it with Warpstone Glow, and then very finely Sabarite green, and then we're going to hit it with some Ard Coat for the gloss. So when it's done, end up being really nice and shiny right there. Oh yeah. And end up looking like that. And then when you got a model sitting on top of it, now I haven't painted the actual model itself yet, but it will, this is always the hard part, it's so reflective, is trying to find a good angle, and it'll look like that with the model on top of it. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. Now, admittedly, this is going to be one of those particular patterns or colors on it where it's not going to look good until we get to this color here. So the late stages. In the very beginning, it's going to look like absolute garbage, and you're going to have no faith in it, and it's just going to be like, I don't know about this. To which case I'm going to respond with, yeah, I know at the very beginning it does kind of look trash, but bear with it, it will get better. Okay, so we're gonna do it like this for a bit. Hold the brushes like that, or like this, one of the two. So once you get that here, you're gonna do a whole bunch of stabbing, get that on. Oh, let me get here. Now this one, you don't necessarily need to worry about overloading the brush. That is easier to do in a few of the other colors, but this one not so much. So we're just kind of make a triangles is kind of what we're going for here. So triangle in, and then we'll make a little shut out like that. So it almost looks like a shark. And then we'll do a little bit something asymmetrical over here. Have that kind of fade off over there with a little bit of that there. And something towards the top. And we'll do that. We'll have that hook up there. There we go. And now the smudging time. So just a whole bunch of stabbing. Smudge it up and break up that outline. You don't want it to look nice and clean. You want it to be kind of stippled, just looking really meh. So right there is what we're going for. So we'll just keep that going with a few more. And it's best just to do random patterns. This is also good practice for the steps coming up. Kind of get you warmed up to the technique, because it's just going to be repeating of everything. So right there. And then every so often we'll just do a solid one all the way through. And this one we're going to have to make it a little bit more interesting because it's going to take up so much space. So we're going to give it a kind of, and we'll have that one jet not all the way through, but jet there. And then just kind of a hint top. And it's okay if we get a little bit of the overlay in the dark green with this color, because it will give it a little bit more depth. Okay, so let's do kind of solid towards the top. We'll make that one. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just have that one connect all the way through, and then this one is going to be into. I should probably be talking this whole time. Yeah, all this dead space and just getting kind of wispy there. So, all right, so we're gonna leave this brush as is. I don't want to wash the green out of it because it'll help us blend with the colors coming up. So that one's staying as is, but we need to get the or unload the paint out of this one. So do a really good job getting all the water out of it. Or oh my gosh, I'm dipping the brush into water. That's where so do a good job getting all the paint out of it with water. So let's see here. Probably stand a little bit more. All right, and this is going to be another one of those layers where you put the color on, and you're gonna have some doubts about it. You're like, I don't know. It doesn't look all that convincing. But again, this is one of those things where it's not until you get to the end of it that it actually starts looking good. So, because right now it just kind of looks like a hot mess. All right, so pick some here. And this time we're going to be a little bit more controlled with it. And we're definitely going to be mindful about how much we have loaded up on our brush. Oops. Okay, and now we're really going to trail off here and make sure that we don't have a bunch on the brush. So what we're going to come back and do, oh my god, I cannot English right now, is we're going to follow the tops. Now it doesn't really matter what side you pick. It could be this one, it could be that one, just as long as it is consistent, so it's the top of all these ones. So we're going to go here, 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 a little bit of there, and it's there, boom, there. Okay, and follow that back up with the brush. So it looks really bad now. And then start blending it back into the large body of the green. You don't want to go into the dark green, but that previous layer that we just put on is where we want it to go. And then a little bit of scraping down is okay. So right about there is where we're at. So kind of the before and after. And then, you know, compared to the steps coming up. So we're getting close. That one's good. And then don't go back to this big blob here, but we still want to take the excess that we took off of the brush already. So let's go. Over there, coming up. Definitely there. Boom. Up here. All right. Now start blending away. Okay. So this one's gonna get a little tip of it right there. Not too thrilled with the blending, and just put a little bit on the base. So let's get that up. But this one's going to blend out when we add the next color, so it'll take some of the hard edge out of that one. And then also, if you goof a little bit, the way I say, even if this one doesn't turn out well, as soon as you put a mini on it, you can either put the foot over it and cover it up that way. So you have a little bit of freedom with it. Remember, you're going to be putting a mini on top of it, so if there's one section you don't like, well, that's where you're going to be gluing the foot. Is my thinking on it. So let's load her up here, and then this one, we'll make it interesting. We'll leave a little bit here hooked in. We'll throw some here just for some flair. Hook that in there. And then towards the top. Oh, there we go. Let's start blending that down. So there's that one. 3 more to go. So I did want to show doing all 6 bases. I know it would be a little bit cleaner of a video if I went and edited it and just kind of showed the progression that way, but I did also want to show how fast you can get this done. So I know some of these videos where you see these techniques and you're like, I don't know, it just looks really time consuming, but if you have somebody doing multiple bases all at once in one go, like this, you know, it's a little bit more encouraging I find that for a newer painter that wants to try this out, or thinking like, oh god, I'm going to be spending all this time, all this energy on something that I'm not even sure is going to look all that great when I'm done. I mean, sure, it could look okay when I'm doing it, but a lot of people are like just trying their hand at it, seeing if it's something they want to do, and then based on skill levels, all that great stuff. It can be a little daunting if again, spending all that time, all that effort for something that may or may not look all that great. So doing it all here in one go with this many bases can show you just really how much time you're really committing to this. So it kind of takes the edge off of it, at least in my mind, There we go. If any of that made sense. Sometimes my brain doesn't move as fast as my mouth does, and I have to play catch up a bit. So this one could flare. Yeah, we're gonna flare that way. Ooh, that was way too much on that one. So I'll have to get that one. Yeah, so a little too much on this one, so definitely gonna need a lot more love on the next color when we get to it. But doesn't look too bad. All right, so now again, get the paint out of the brush, and we're gonna be moving on to the next color. And this one, this is the part where it's easy to screw it up because we're not gonna be putting a whole bunch on the model. Just a little bit, just a little bit. And this is where not having a perfectly straight brush comes into play. You want something that where do we get? There it is. So it's flared out a bit. It's not perfectly straight, and the bristles in the edges for this one don't line up perfectly with the center. So it'll give us more of a natural upset look to it. Because if it's perfectly straight, real stone doesn't look that way. So it looks a little bit off. Which is why the older brushes, or the kind of messed up ones, work the best for this. Alright, so just kind of getting a gauge of how much I've cleared off the brush already, which is a good amount. Okay. So this is going to be Cyberite Green. And this is, again, this is going to be the color that's really easy to go overboard on, so don't go crazy with it. Probably should pull a little bit more. Okay, and this one, definitely want to start working out on the palette first to get the desired effect. Boom, okay. And this one we're gonna have to work a little bit fast on. So again, we're gonna pick those areas. We're gonna go a little bit more extreme, or not extreme. We're gonna go more towards the edges. Okay, and then very lightly, not as hard as the last one, because we still want this one to be a little bit more defined. Okay, and boom. So there we go. That one's okay. So not as much vigor as we were applying last time. Very, very light on this one. This one we'll be more mindful of it, and then we'll start interlacing it in some of the bigger sections here. All right. And then we're just doing this to kind of smudge it just a bit, but not a whole bunch. Oh, I totally dropped a brush, and that is one of the important ones. There we go. Oh, this was one of the demo ones. Put the brush up just a little bit. Yeah, we'll go for this one next. Okay, and then back to the smudging. So we got 2 more left. This was the kind of the derpy one, messed up on. This is gonna be the one where we kind of correct for it. So it doesn't look too bad after the correction. You still kind of see it there, but not as an eye-catching of a mistake. And we got the last one here. Okay, there we go on that one. And we're pretty much ready for the art coat. And this is if you like how they turned out. If not, you can just blaze over them again with the base coat and just start all over, which is kind of one of the nice things about it. It's not a whole bunch of time investment. Just cranked out 6 of them, and I think I'm like 23 or something minutes into it. And you can do it faster if one's sitting there trying to explain stuff, but there's something about the art coat that just makes the greens a little bit more greener. Like it just blends stuff better a little bit. So would be good. So this one here would be kind of a good one. So this is our before the art coat, and then yeah, so paint's dry. You can see it as it's applied here. And this one, you are going to want to hide your brush strokes because it will show up in the hard coat. And split the edges. And just go with the grain of the pattern. Very, very lightly. So it really brings it out. And then you kind of use the angles to see where it globs up and where you can kind of smooth out the hard coat. Alright. And that is pretty much it with this pattern. So you can crank crank out some good bases, or some just surface area if you're doing armor panels for knights. That's how I have one of my knights set up, is have this jade, or the jade marble effect going on throughout it, and I really like it. I really do. Kind of stumbled on this one. Someone mentioned like two brush. Oh my god, I'm forgetting my proper technical terms for it. Two brush blending, and I was like, oh, we'll just see if it works out that way. And it turns out really well for this color, this color scheme. So, and it doesn't look too bad, at least in my mind. I mean, putting some opinions out on the internet, I'm bound to get a few people that are like, this is trash, you should feel bad, you should start over, you should go play Star Wars Legion. You know, and oh, is that a hair? That is a bristle or something. We'll just take that off. Alright. We will apparently put it right back on. Did it get it? I think it did. Let's see here. So the hard coat's going to take quite a bit to dry. So we're not going to see the end of it, or see this completely cured out and dried by the end of the video. I'm not going to make you guys stay for that part. I should do it in frame again. So there's just two bases that I have to go back to the army and redo. I don't like the way they turned out. So if I remember correctly, for the coat on there, if you use isopropyl alcohol, it'll dissolve it. If not, I'll just have to do it the good old-fashioned way and sand it down, which I don't necessarily mind, or I could just get a new base and start over that way if we want to throw money at the problem. Few options. But just had two I want to start over. I got a little impatient with them, and that's the reason why I'm doing them over, because I just didn't have. I tried to do all of them in one sitting, and I think that was a mistake. I got burnt out on them a bit, and I was just trying to crank through them, just get them done fast, so I can move on to other things. And I got a little too ahead of myself, and they ended up looking like kind of garbage for the pattern. And I don't mind showing you. One of them's like an oval base, and the other one's a really big base, and I was like, I just looked at it, I'm like, yeah, I'm stupid. So lesson learned, as soon as I feel the burnout, I just stop painting. Otherwise, I'm just going to start botching things and goofing stuff up. So the next step, once this stuff dries, is, I don't think I've done it to this one yet. Go through and just repaint the rim of this again to unify the colors in case there's, have I done it? Yeah, so if we get any bleed over from the pattern right here, we'll go back over it again with Caliban green, there we go, and just unify the rim of it. But anyway, so that's those are the bases, all looking good, like the bases should. Oop, there we go. Let's get that stuff off my brush. And then let me show you my two goof ups. And I am not proud of these whatsoever. So this is the least of the two. I got way too in a hurry trying to crank that one out, and it doesn't look good at all. So, and yeah, I'm just gonna have to redo this one. You know, definitely a far cry from that pattern. And then this one's gonna hurt more of the same, but on a bigger scale. Oh, this one is bad. This one is definitely bad. So I'm gonna have to go through and repaint this one. That one I'll I'll just dedicate an entire hour to just do that one properly. So, but the rest of them turned out really well. Just those two I got burnt out on. I'll look, so it should look good for my custodes. All right, just imagine them gold with red accents. The red will tie in well to the green base because red and green are opposite each other on the color scale. And then purple was going to be the color for the power weapons, and the reason why I went purple is because purple is on the opposite spectrum of the color wheel for yellow or orange, and gold is just a metallic orange. So yeah. And then I was also thinking about having the leather. Well, we'll go with red for the leather. That'll tie it in. More red for that, and then green or purple for the other parts. And then the gems. The gems I was thinking. Shoot, I don't know. I'll have to start looking at the colorway again. Maybe blue for the gems. Yeah, blue's probably a good choice because it's it shares or a catty corner to most of the colors on the color wheel, so it'll probably blend in really well. All right. Boom. And I guess if you stayed this long, I'll go ahead and give you an update on the bloodthirster, my big blue bloodthirster, or the blue thirster. I had some technical difficulties with the video and lost a lot of footage. We just got the skin done, but in the video that I lost footage on, I went through, did all the metallics, got everything, you know, the accent colors blocked in. So last time that you saw the body, it didn't look anywhere near this. I got the leather in, got again the metallics in, did some work, a lot of work on the face. Horns, got the transition colors on those ones, and got the base coat going for the flames. Bloodthirsters, once you get the skin done and you start blocking in the real stuff, they get painted really fast. So if you look at the first video, it's just the skin, and the second video I got most of this done in one sitting. And you know, bloodthirsters just paint really fast once you get the skin out of the way. So that's kind of where I'm at with this one. So luckily I didn't knock the wings out, so I could still show a lot of cool stuff with the wings. And then he also got all of his trim and accoutrements done. So I got the van braces, the belt buckle, so all of that's looking good there. But lost the video on that one, so I'll just I'll see if I can salvage what I can, edit that one, and then get those out. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope this was helpful on how to create this effect or this kind of bases. I had a part that I was working on too for my knight, and this is kind of the effect it goes for on this part. Not completely done with this one, to have some touch-up work to do, and didn't want it to be as bold and as bright as these bases, because there's a lot of other stuff on that mini, or that model I should say, because Imperial Knight's not mini, that I wanted to bring the eye to, so I subdued that pattern a bit, and I didn't want it to be as loud as these bases here. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope that was helpful. If you have any comments or questions about anything, go and leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will see you guys for the next video.